Hello everybody, Chris here, and in this video we're going to be touching on one aspect of animation inside of Unity that I missed, and that is animation override controllers. So we already know what an animation controller does. It allows you to set how animations transition into each other, which could mean a walk cycle transitioning back and forth between idling and walking, or it could mean your character initiating an attack animation at the same time that it fires a projectile or something like that. Now, an animation override controller, which we'll go ahead and create one here, is an animation controller, except that it uses another animation controller as its base. So you could really think of an animation override controller as a child controller that inherits everything from the parent controller by default, but it allows you to override or replace the animations themselves. So, for instance, we have, let's just call it Pirate Girl AOC, Animation Override Controller. And what we would do with this controller is to attach the player animation controller, which right now is called Jeffrey, but probably if I was actually naming for my game, I would probably call this player AC, and then you would have one for different players. That would be a good example. Like one for each character, but they're all sprite characters, and all of the sprite characters have up, down, left, right. And then you would create individual animations. So for instance, I can right click here, create an animation, we can call it Pirate Girl Walk Left. Now I'm not actually going to go through the process again of filling in the sprites there, but you would basically create these animations, assign the sprites or whatever components inside of the animation window that you need to, as we were doing in the previous videos. But you would take this and you would just put it on the override for the original. So now when a character with this animation override controller basically is animating or in the game, it's going to replace any instance where Jeffrey would walk left with Pirate Girl walking left. So we did cover the blend trees. So these blend trees and how they interact with each other, basically being able to transition into one another, all of that's still set up. The parameters are still set up. The Boolean there is still set up. And you could reference this from your player script in the same way. You don't have to recreate the animator, really. The only thing you need to worry about is creating these animations and replacing them in the override section for your animation override controller. And that's really all there is to animation override controllers. I would just be careful about when you do create them, for what purposes are you going to be, because you do have to basically override all of the original animations if they are using sprites. So for instance, if I only create Pirate Girl walk left, walk right, and walk up, but I don't replace these idle animations, what's going to happen is that when whatever character this animation override controller is attached to is idling, it's actually going to use the sprites from the original Jeffrey idle left, Jeffrey idle right, and that's because we didn't replace those animation clips with anything else. If you're not using animation clips, but maybe you're working with models, it might be a different story, but definitely for sprites, where you're doing frame-by-frame sprite animation, that's going to be an issue. So make sure anything you're going to override, you do have something to go for all of those override animations that you plan on using within your game. So that's about it for animation override controllers, and I think that's going to cover most of what we need to for this course as far as animation goes. Once you know the basics, it's kind of rinse and repeat. So I've been Chris, thanks for watching this video, and hopefully I'll see you guys in my future Unity content.